1 billion pounds spent. From a Champions League winner to the bottom half of the table with just one win. What the hell happened to Chelsea? Are Chelsea going to get relegated? The big question. Are Chelsea really going to get relegated? How did Chelsea get even worse with 1 billion pounds spent? Damning Chelsea statistics show existing form would have relegated them in every Premier League season. Chelsea fan worries could be deepened even further, as alarming statistics indicate their current form could tip them toward relegation. After a promising preseason, the Blues endured an unsatisfactory start to the campaign with just one Premier League victory to their name. And Chelsea fans have been left wondering how the results have been so poor. Their 1-0 defeat at home to Aston Villa leaves them 14th in the top flight, with Chelsea also winless and scoreless in 3 games. Mauricio Pochettino's side has won in the Carabao Cup as they defeated West London neighbours AFC Wimbledon 2-1. Yet, their Premier League results in recent months are an increasing problem for fans as they persist to stagnate in the table. Stats of their form make for worrying reading, with Chelsea fan and former player Jason Cundy revealing that Chelsea's points per game over the last 35 matches, which is 3 short of full season, is 0.8. This would get one relegated in every single Premier League season and have them finish bottom or joint bottom in the seasons. That's what their points tally has been. We know that is not how football works. Across 2 seasons, they've won 2 league games since Graham Potter left. Since Potter left, they have won 2 league games, 7 wins in all competitions this year, and that includes 1 against home at Luton, 1 at home against Wimbledon, and 1 win away at Bournemouth. Jason Cundy also said that he's not arrogant enough to think that Chelsea are too good to go down, but if all this carries on, Chelsea will end up in a relegation. Chelsea have acquired just 5 points from a possible 18 so far this term, although their squad has been blighted by injuries. As last season drew to a close, the Blues were under threat of falling into the bottom 3, but ended up finishing 12th. So, what has gone wrong at Chelsea, even after a £1 billion transfer spree? Chelsea have taken only 5 points from their opening 6 Premier League games this season, their poorest start to a campaign since 1978. With Sunday's 1-0 loss to Aston Villa, which leaves them in 14th, and extended their winless run to 3 games. Is Mauricio Pochettino the right man for them? Pochettino's young Chelsea squad have experienced teething problems, with their only league win coming from a 3-0 victory over newly promoted Luton. Their forwards have been profligate in front of goal, with striker Nicholas Jackson overlooking 7 big chances in 6 games with just a single goal to show for it. The Blues have shown signs of commitment at times, but individual mistakes and questionable modifications to the formation will mount pressure on Pochettino, who is counted on to perform after Chelsea's more than £1 billion transfer spree since May 2022. So, what about all the money they spent? Todd Boehly's Clearlake Capital Consortium forked out over £450 million on transfers this summer and has broken the British transfer history record twice since January to land midfielders Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. Caicedo has had a mixed start at Stamford Bridge after his £115 million move from Brighton. The midfielder had a poor cameo on his debut against West Ham before he gave the ball for Anthony Elanga's second-half winner against Forest. Jackson is yet to live up to his exciting first 2 games in blue and has skipped golden chances which have cost Pochettino's side. However, Fernandez is the shining light in Chelsea's midfield and has shown his quality on the ball. So, are the injuries to blame then? Chelsea have 12 players missing through injury for last week's 0-0 draw at Bournemouth, pushing Pochettino to rotate once again. Chelsea's captain, Reece James, has failed to make 5 consecutive appearances, who is the focal point of Chelsea's attack since 2020. Christopher Nkunku and Romeo Lavia are yet to make their debuts for the club due to being sidelined by Carney Chukwuemeka's knee injury at West Ham was more severe than what was first hoped. Suspensions picked up by Nicholas Jackson and Malo Gusto will add further difficulties for Pochettino when they face Fulham. People were left unimpressed with Chelsea's strategy in the transfer window since new owners Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital have taken charge of the club. The Blues' £1 billion expenditure in the last 3 transfer windows has been widely criticized. Also, Chelsea's strategy of giving players long contracts is hugely risky. It's been done intentionally to maximize the investment and acquisition of other players to amortize those players' contracts so they will accommodate under the FFP regulations. It is a massive gamble. Modric have been handled an 8-year contract, and he has lessened in value since his acquisition significantly. They probably overpaid for him initially, and he has not reached the performance metrics set for him. That is not to say he won't over the next 4 years, but the revolution doesn't suggest otherwise. Now, he is almost non-transferable, like Harry Maguire at Manchester United. He has a big salary, similar to Alexis Sanchez, and you cannot move them off your books because clubs do not want them at their salaries. They are, or you have to pay them to leave. So, it is incredibly risky. Also, it is correct to say that if it was revolutionary reasoning, other clubs would have done it too by now. Chelsea is not the biggest team in the league, and they haven't got the most gifted board, and haven't had in successive years. If the likes of Manchester City, Man United, and Liverpool are not amortizing contracts over 7 to 10 years, you can rest assured it is not necessarily the promising thing to do. But also, piling up transfer payments like Man United has done is also not that sensible. Despite the massive spending, Chelsea has been incapable of doing consistently well on the field, and multiple managerial changes have also not positively impacted the fortunes of the Blues. So, does it boil down to Todd Boehly's way of dealing with contracts? Chelsea owner Todd Boehly implemented a US-style contract policy at Stamford Bridge, with youngsters set to be offered 7-year deals. The move mirrored contract styles in the States to tie young players down for long periods. Mason Mount, Reece James, and Armando Broja were at the top of his list for the deals. Todd Boehly implemented the US-style contract policy for players under the age of 25, locking youngsters into deals for as long as 7 years. The new Blues regime wanted to ensure that the club's best young players were tied down during their peak years, as is common in American sports. Generally, English clubs look to ensure young talent on contracts of up to 5 years. As a result, Marc Cucurella, 24 years old, signed a 6-year deal upon joining from Brighton, as did Carney Chukwuemeka, 18 years old, when he arrived from Aston Villa. So, what is next for Chelsea? The Blues' next Premier League match is at Fulham, after hosting Brighton in the Carabao Cup and the West London Derby at Craven Cottage. Chelsea is to face a tough run that includes Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Newcastle in their next 8 league games. They will need to find an upturn in condition if they don't want to drop further out of the race for European qualification for a second successive season. What do you think? Is the £1 billion expenditure fair? What about Todd Boehly's ways of dealing with contracts? Who's to blame for Chelsea's downfall? The managers or the chop of change of players? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for awesome football content. Until next time.